What will happen if we eat too much sugar? Chocolate, syrup, cotton candy, wafers, ice cream, and cake. They all sound very appetizing, don't they? Who can say no to a jar of Nutella or a bag of jelly beans? During the hot summer days, if there were an ice-cold glass of lemonade to freshen you up, wouldn't you drink it? There must be people around you who have developed themselves immensely about a healthy diet and stopped eating salt and sugar completely. I'm sure you secretly envy them. A fit body, a good figure, beauty, a life full of health. You'd say you wish you were a person like that, but you also want to eat sugar like crazy. Well, I have news for you. Living a life full of health by eating sugar is not really possible. In our world, where a lot of effort is given to give up sugar or reduce the intake of it, people discovered something critical about the interaction between sugar and the brain. So before we talk about this critical point, let's answer the question of why exactly a person should give up or reduce sugar. Without doubt, the organ that needs energy the most is the brain. For example, a teacher has trouble teaching if her sugar levels drop. Just like a teacher, if the brain doesn't have sufficient amounts of sugar, its ability to communicate with the neurons fails. Because the brain is structured as nested with neurons, in order to continue activities such as thinking, remembering, and learning, it needs the fuel of sugar to keep it continuously on the go. Let's say you're in a hurry in the morning and need to leave the house urgently in order to not be late for work. At that point, a bowl of cereal softened by milk can be a good idea. There, when you start to eat the cereal, the taste receptors at the tip of your tongue activate the sweet signal and send it to the cortex zone of the brain. Here, yes, the part that looks like the face of an old man in our brain. Sweet signals activate the winning center in the brain and help the release of the only hormone that cheers a person, dopamine. Activation of the reward system is evolutionarily good for humans because the activity motivates a person to survive. Going to a concert of a band you love or your mother's carrot cake stimulates the winning or reward system and releases dopamine. This gives you an extreme sense of happiness. According to the statements of scientists, having regular meals during the day encourages dopamine release in the brain. If you eat the same food when you have regular meals, for example, if you always eat pasta, that food not only doesn't make you happy anymore, it will also tear down your dopamine levels. If you add sugary food to your balanced and regular meal in small amounts, you will feel happy and satisfactorily rewarded since the dopamine hormones will be released throughout the day. There is no problem so far, but if you eat sugary foods every day, once in 2 hours, time after time, your dopamine levels will rocket, won't they? You can't stand still. You want to jump around. At that moment, your brain will start giving you warnings about how your sugar intolerance is rising. There's a demand hidden in those warnings. Enough! Because you will need to eat much more sugar than that every day to feel happy, and you won't be the old you anymore. And for this reason, sugar is addictive. Scientists have associated the use of sugar in high amounts with possible psychological problems in the long run. In this research, conducted with 7,000 people in total, with men who consume more than 67 grams of sugar daily, the chance of experiencing a psychological disorder in the following 5 years was raised by 23%. 67 grams of sugar is in total equal to 6 scoops of vanilla ice cream. The World Health Organization recommends adults and children to keep additional sugar intake below 25 grams a day. This means adding only 2 spoons of sugar to each of your 3 cups of tea. But in the same research, there is a very surprising result for women. Or should we say, good news. If a woman consumes more than normal amounts of sugar, unlike men, they don't experience any psychological disorders related to sugar in their coming years. Alright, women's psychological state related to sugar consumption can be parallel with their dopamine levels, but this still doesn't mean that they won't gain weight. Be careful. Keep it in mind, dopamine levels don't only rise with sugary foods. Quality sleep, sports, regular sex, getting sufficient levels of sunlight, meditation, love of animals. Each of these not only raises your dopamine levels, they are also more than enough to live happily ever after, radiate light, and bring peace around you. But of course, you can treat yourself. Oh, Nutella, give me some.